Hello, beautiful people. As you see, we have the very talented healer and medium, Denise Ramon at deniseramon.com in the description box. Plus, we're going to put a screen or something. I don't know what you do, Paula, but I know you do it. But also, a lot of you guys are new to the channel and you don't know. We talked that Erik is answering this question and that. And who's Erik? A lot of people have put that in the comments. If you have never been a part of channeling Erik with a K.com, then you will have no idea who Erik is. So I really invite you to go to that site because Erik is my son who I lost years ago, that is now in the afterlife. And it's really quite an amazing story how he became phenomena all over the world. Still had to poke myself to, it's so amazing that somebody has approached me to do a documentary that is being finished right now. And people have wanted to do TV series about it. So really do take the time and look at channelingerik.com and learn about my beautiful, beautiful boy who is
absolutely
such a beautiful, amazingly high energy guy. High energy. And he curses, so okay. He's not one of those, thank you, my dear, welcome, my dear ones kind of people. All right, we are going to finish, hopefully, the series on Neanderthal, getting down to the dirty. I just saw a thing that was on, I think Prime Video about Neanderthal, so it reminded me to go ahead and continue this. So, hi, Erik, I love you.
He says, hi, Mama. He said, I love you. He's wanting me to tell you he's sending you yellow and red roses. Ooh. I don't know if that has a significance for you, but he's showing me yellow and red roses. Wow. Mother's Day is coming up, so this is why he's showering with
yellow
those.
For friendship, red for love. Beautiful. Maybe, I don't know. All right, so do we have some representatives from the Neanderthal clan? Neanderthal, I think it's supposed to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, and Erik says this time he's got in a collective consciousness of it. Like I feel like it's more feminine and masculine energy in that is here. Yes, yeah.
Here's my pen. All right, so here's question number 30 from my community, our community. They're so great. They have such good questions. They want to ask the Neanderthals, did you live alongside nature or work against nature like we do? Ugh.
I say he, but it's both. They're saying they lived with nature, but the question really is, did they kill any of the nature or do anything like that for eating and stuff? And he said, of course they did.
Yeah,
of course they did. And he says, and that's why they were. Right? He says that's why they were there for us to feed us.
Yeah,
the animals were there to feed us, and they knew that was their job there. That's what it was for.
But they weren't here to rape and pillage Mother Earth. They didn't do that.
No.
Okay. What species is the earliest descendant of the human race that is alive currently on the planet? I don't think there's.
Say that again? What
species is the earliest descendant of the human race that is currently alive on this planet?
Species that was a part of the human race?
That is a descendant.
From a descendant. Yeah.
Maybe gorillas, chimpanzees, some hominid that is out in the forest that we don't know about. Bigfoot, I don't know.
Well, they're saying that, when you said the gorilla and the monkeys and that, we're like an offspray or something.
Yeah.
From that, but we are not that, but we're a continuation of that, Now, when you just mentioned, Bigfoot or something, Bigfoot is a representative of something else, from another
Dimension.
What was yes, thank you, dimension. I was thinking galaxy, and I knew that was another dimension that comes in with that. But so no, we're not that. But he said the gorillas, but they're, if anything, we're the oldest descendant. And he says, and I'm getting is rock. We were part of the rock. We came from the formation of that. But Erik says, but they want to know something breathing, something that has a heart and lungs and all of that type of stuff. So I want to say that when you mentioned the gorilla, the monkeys and stuff, but I feel like I don't get that we are
Alien hybrids? Is that where maybe the closest descendant are alien hybrids? Because we were created with alien DNA, maybe?
well, we're not, well, I say he, but it because it feels masculine, but it's not he as in a male.
You say they.
They are saying like we're the most ancient one because we have been here for a long, long time, much
What do
longer
you
than
mean
what people.
we? Us?
We as in yes, we as in
Okay.
humans.
I
Yeah,
believe
we
that.
as in humans because we have been here for thousands and thousands and
Yeah.
thousands of years. Yeah.
How much was your brain capacity compared to today in humans? What was your brain, and how much of your brain capacity did you use compared to ours?
The brain capacity that they used, I want to say the way they're showing me is like 30-40%. And the reason being that it was that much is because they didn't have the things to keep, they didn't have things sidetracking them, and they didn't have things to help deaden the use of their brain, like kind of slow things down. And also they were here to utilize more of their brain to see how far they could develop and move forward in life and stuff. Because they're telling me they were asked, were they put here as an experiment before in our other session? And it's like, yes, they're here as an experiment, but not as an experiment as what one thinks. They were here to see how to evolve and move forward, how this, with them being here, how they could help the evolution of this planet, because
Okay.
this planet holds so much life to it other than us humans being here.
Okay. All right. By the way, before I forget, I was supposed to say this at the beginning. Atlantis Scalar, Erik has told me we need to start doing flash sales, like 48-hour sales, deeply
Wow.
discounted. So please be sure you go to the About tab, and on the drop-down menu, you'll see, subscribe to emails or something like that. And also there's the Ask Erik page there too. And we also have a new tab called The Team. People like Denise, Michelle, just all the greats that are there to scan you for blocks, heal you, do mediumship, teach all sorts of stuff. So check into that. And also, I think we're going to ask Erik to do a new sale here pretty soon. I've already asked him. I'm waiting for his answer. So you'll see. So anyway, subscribe. You don't want to miss this. All right. That being said, what is the IQ of Neanderthals? I know there's different types of IQs, of course. You have to take that into consideration.
Yes, when you asked that, I heard not as sharp as our IQs today on people, and and it's because they didn't have, and they didn't have the all of the stuff. They didn't have like the technology we have. They didn't have that advancement. Like they weren't evolving like as much as we are and stuff. So their IQ for them was high for them, but yet if you put the standards today, it was low compared to ours, because where we are now and where they were is no comparison. We have evolved and figured things out, and because they're saying, as they evolved and like created the wheel to move things and, and just start, that and helps to expand our awareness of, fire,
Well, I mean, it seems
cooking.
like their IQ was tailored to survival. And our survival IQ in modern day man is probably not that great compared to the Neanderthals. So you have to, I guess,
You're
consider that
correct on
too,
that.
right?
You're correct on that. He says, because we still carry that fight or flight mode, which was from there, from
Yeah.
when they came in. So we still carry that that kind of fight or flight mode into this time, which doesn't really have to deal with us. We're still responding to something that's way back then.
Yeah.
So he's saying, I keep saying he, but it's a they, but the energy feels masculine to me. But they are saying, comparative today, the IQ was much lower than it is today.
The survival IQ was higher, probably.
Definitely higher, because they didn't have the alarms and whistles going off to let them know when things were going on. And I feel like they had to really be on watch, not so much for disasters and that, but for other animals to come in, and they had to be careful where they were stepping and stuff.
All right. Did you have any livestock or pets, like animal companions? Either one of those?
They are showing me they didn't have animals as pets like we do today. They just didn't have that. Did they have any livestock? I do. What they are showing me, they did have some animals that they kept, I guess, in a fence type thing of how they, not the fence material like we have, but how they had them blocked off and that. But it wasn't for milk and all of that. It wasn't like for that kind of stuff. I feel like they blocked them off because this is what they caught. This is what was next for slaughter. Yeah. And when I say that, it's like they had it corralled in, and then it was a group effort to because they didn't have guns and stuff.
Yeah. How did women deal with having their period? That's interesting. What part of the nature did they use for the bleeding, if any?
So this is when I'm getting feminine energy in. So they're telling me that when they had their cycle, that was considered a very powerful moment for them. So this is when they went off.
They get their guys to stay away. You don't want to be no part of this. I get a break. I'm kidding.
Exactly. Well, I get that, but this is where the women went off to like a retreat. It's almost like a vision quest type thing, where they would go off, because this is when they would be in all their power as they were taught, and they would go off in so like a solo journey to get the information and to bring in wisdom and stuff, and then they would bring that back to the village and stuff. So how did they take care of that? I just feel like they used a lot of vegetation to help absorb and stuff like that. And I also get that they also had other people protecting them, so other animals wouldn't come near them during that cycle, because animals could smell when they were also in this, and it was a danger for them.
Well, what did they think it was?
What did the
The
people think
women,
that
why do they think, why they had this cycle? What did they think it was all about? Did they relate it to reproduction, for example?
they're telling me they knew it was about reproduction, but it also wasn't just about reproduction. This was it was more of like an honor, because when a woman was during her cycle, this was considered a very powerful moment in a woman's life, and this is when women were considered to be the most intuitive during that time, and this is why they would go off to like a retreat type thing, like a
They go
vision
together?
quest.
They go together?
Um,
I mean, the ones that did not have children, maybe?
Well, when even the ones that had children, when they were on their cycle, there were other people would then come in and help watch the children and stuff. It's the
Okay.
village that took over and helped out. So did the women go together? I feel like yes, the women did go like in a pack, but yet they were separate. So it's like
Okay.
let's just say three of us were going. We would go together for safety purposes, but we would be in separate places so that we could hone in on our whatever abilities were coming in, like our gifts or our knowledge, our wisdom, whatever was coming in, because that was considered a very powerful time for women during those times.
Yeah. Uh, were there many ways of giving birth, like in the water, or was it mostly on land? Tell us about the Neanderthal birthing process.
So one of them is telling me that, it depending on, you know, the times of the years and that, I guess the seasons, it could be pretty brutal. It was definitely
Yeah.
not an easy process. It was still very painful. I do feel like there was some plant life that they would eat or mix together and help ease the
Okay.
pain. And the way she's showing me how they would like um, grind them up, some of the plant life, and help use as a numbing salve or something, I
Okay.
guess, around the vaginal area. Um, Sometimes, women did die from giving birth,
What percent?
that.
What do you think the percent
Uh,
was back then?
mm,
Of, of infant mortality, and then also the women giving birth. Well, first, let's talk about what percent of babies died?
she's showing me on a scale of 1 to 10. I get like 2 out of 10 would pass, would
Oh.
would would wouldn't make it, the infant
What about the
mortality.
mommies?
And
What about the mother?
um,
What's the death rate?
she's showing me it's about the same depending. It's about the same, but she's saying it's depending on how far along in their pregnancy,
Oh
because
yeah,
sometimes if the pregnancies it just she's shown saying it just depends on how far along in the
yeah.
pregnancy. She goes, no, I don't get that there was that many that died, the mortality prior
Okay.
to birth, because they didn't have near the complications that we do, because she says the complications that we have today are a direct result of the things that we digest, what's in our
Oh
atmosphere,
God, yeah.
and just the chemicals that are in our body, and that has a lot to do with what's going on.
Okay. Did you guys have slaves?
Slaves.
Yeah, slaves, like other tribes, you know.
She is telling me no, they did not have slaves.
Okay.
They just didn't. Now, when you ask about the slaves, she's showing me they did have things where like trespassing, like certain ones weren't allowed over here, or
Oh,
we just knew to respect each other's territory. Now, I do feel like when one trespassed over, I do feel like it was free range take their belongings and stuff, because you had to work hard for the clothing. You didn't just go buy clothes and door like we do today.
Yeah. Oh my God. TJ
Things were
Maxx.
made. No, you're right. And she's saying how they had to make the clothes out of animal products,
Yeah.
So, I feel like but I don't feel like they got slaves. And
Okay.
she's telling me, and Erik is saying that's been a thought that maybe there were slaves, from that they were either slaves or they had slaves. And I just I don't get that from
Okay.
her.
Well, that's good. All right. This person wants to know what's the difference between Neanderthal and Homo sapiens. But the next sentence is what's the difference between Neanderthal and humans? I thought that was the same thing. Okay. So, what are the basic or three top differences between Neanderthals and modern men? I'm going to say.
Well, they're telling me one is height.
Yeah.
One is the way the body's built.
Stockiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because they're showing me, the way it's built is made for, because of the strength that you needed, and
Right.
the ability to, because everything was done so manually then. Another is their main source of food was meat per se, so there was a lot of that, which isn't done today. And they're saying that's mainly, and they're also showing me eye color. There's a difference with eye color. Yeah, a lot of the eye color they're showing me was blue and green.
Interesting.
That is.
Yeah. So, are there any inventions Neanderthals had that we don't? Can imagine. No offense, but what?
Well, one of the things, it's not anything that they invented because it's always been here, but one of the things that they use so strongly that we kind of gotten away from is they go with when the summer solstice comes in, the winter solstice comes in and
Yeah.
stuff. There's things that take place in very powerful moments when these are coming in, and they're showing me how they worked with the stars, and when the sun was setting and rising, how there's all of that comes in that they use to their advantage of when it was a good time for moving north or moving south. They just knew when to move, because I don't feel like they lived in a brick and mortar type
No.
environment. They were more, they were traveling people. They were showing me nomads or whatever, and so they paid attention to that. We don't pay attention to that as much. We just go when we say we want to move. So they paid attention to those things. And they also knew that they were not here by themselves. They knew that there was something more out there.
Like ETs?
Yes, I just feel like they knew that there were spacecraft, ETs, extraterrestrials out there.
Cool. And you guys need to watch part one because I think we talked a little bit about that as well there. Cannibalism is a big thing, like that you guys ate your own. So did you, for one? Because there's been a lot of evidence looking at bones and the marks on human bones for that like tools were made to scrape the muscle and stuff off. So yes or no, did you cannibalize your own? No judgment.
Well, they're saying, let us explain, but they said yes.
You got some explaining to do, Lucy.
Because it's not like today if someone goes and eats people, but they're saying, they're saying, but back then, what is the difference between eating a sheep type animal or a buffalo type animal from a human.
Yeah.
Meat is meat.
Yeah. And they're dead, right? Now, if you
yes,
kill them and to cannibalize them, that might be different. Did they do that?
I do feel like that did happen from time to time, like an older person or something, when there was a
Oh,
shortage of food and stuff like that.
right.
But they didn't just, you know, they didn't just do it out of a sick thought to do this. And when they did eat a human, they did a sacrifice, like a ceremony type thing, because they used the entire body for everything. Nothing went to waste. Just like in the animal, of the four-legged, they used it to. They used all parts of it, even the two-legged. They said, they used all parts of that animal.
There was evidence that they extracted bone marrow to eat too,
Well,
which is
yeah,
really nutritious.
yes, yes. There's
Human is the other white meat.
because they you don't waste, because they're saying, because your supplies are limited. So it's also too is they had the awareness to use all of the parts of the animal, whether it be a human or an animal, and you just didn't waste it, because there's so many useful parts from the animal, the two, like from the birds to the four-legged to the humans, that can be used for everything. And I also feel like the way they are telling me, there's a lot of medicine that is used, like you said, the bone marrow and stuff, but there's a lot of medicinal uses from other parts of our organs, and whether it be from us or for animals. But they didn't go around just saying, "Oh, let's go get crazy tonight and go kill someone."
Let's go kill Joe. Joe,
Yeah,
you
no,
got a
and
mark
they
on your
only
back.
killed. Yeah, they only killed to eat when they were hungry.
Yeah. Well,
They
was
didn't
there ever a
kill for
time?
3 weeks ahead of time.
Was there ever a time where they consumed human flesh? Maybe they were already dead for religious purposes, like they were related and they wanted to consume and to take a part of them in. Yeah, I've read about that's a possibility, that they wanted to have their loved ones with them, and if it took eating them. So was there any spiritual purpose for cannibalism, actually?
Um, they're saying that yes, there was, but not because they wanted to be close to them. It was more of a an honoring them,
Oh, okay.
honoring them, and honoring them because you are utilizing every part of that person, and you share that with the village. So you're not wasting anything. As today, Erik says, we go out to eat and we go to a buffet and we put a bunch of food on our plate and we leave half of it. That was never done back then. Everything got utilized, and very little was ever put back into the ground, because after the feast or the honoring, whatever it was they were doing, there was very little waste to have to deal with.
That's awesome. All right, I think we're going to stop here and start part 2 in a minute. So you guys be sure you, of course, check the description box for DeniseRamon.com, the splash screen, but also, just make sure you watch part 1 as well. It's really fantastic. And hit the notification bell so you don't miss the last final part 3, which is going to be very short, but short and sweet. All right. Bye.